I'm not in. Colton. Okay, guys, I know that you can see me. Hey, Colton. We don't have live video here. I don't have any cameras. Okay, guys, I promise you we are working on this. Oh, I've tried switching different cameras. I already did. I did that a while ago. Okay, guys, we are having technical difficulties, if you cannot tell. All right, let's see what happens here. Okay, guys, we're getting really, really close. Right? Oh, looky there. Man, you know what? Doesn't matter how many times you do it, it things like this happen. How's everybody doing? I hope y'all are doing wonderful today. Today we are talking about top reasons skilled trades beat a desk job every single time. And I've got to tell you, I've got a job now where I'm behind a desk more than I want to be. I've had a job where I was definitely behind a desk more than I wanted to be. When you move up as director of operations, and I don't know if my board is going there or not, but it will be now. It's being behind a desk all day is not a lot of fun. And as you see, I've got a special guest with me today, Mark Latham. How are you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Good to have you here. Take just a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Mark Latham. So I'm owner in Firehouse Roofing. We do really roof gutters, exterior services out of the DFW area.
And when you say DFW area, you mean the whole DFW area?
Whole DFW area.
Man, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
They used to come to me and try to get me to do radio advertising. And I'm like, I don't want to be all over the Metroplex. And hey, Colton, if you'll come here in just a second and get my loop going. I didn't want to be all over the Metroplex. I wanted to work in my little area. Mm-hmm. I loved my little logistical area of Richardson being right there.
Yeah.
And it worked pretty good. And yeah, if you'll get me going there. Whenever we had technical difficulties, we hit a few buttons here. So we should be ready to roll now. So I did not want to be all over the Metroplex, and I didn't want to spend the money they wanted when I know I'm only going to cover this little 5% of the Metroplex maybe, yeah, and pay to advertise to 100% of it. So we decided not to do radio, but it's a good thing for a lot of people, and I completely see that. But you're all over the place.
Yeah. For us, what we found is radio works really good as long as you're willing to travel all over the DFW Metroplex. So, but for us, it gives you an opportunity, I think, explain and tell a story a little bit better because you can have the time to do that. So,
and the neat thing about that too is when you know you're traveling that far, you've probably hired people in Fort Worth,
yeah,
in South Dallas, and in Northwest Fort Worth, all around the Metroplex.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit to get the ball rolling, but once you start hitting different territories, it now is not, man, I got to drive over here for one job. It's I
drive
can
over
send
here and
one
stay
guy
busy
over there, and he can be there all day long.
Not a bad deal. I want to jump into the chats real quick and just say hello. Denver Starboy, good to see you in here as always. I hope that you are doing well. And William Sullivan says, there you go. Look, man, problems happen. If you tell me you don't ever have anything go wrong, I'm going to say you're not doing very much. So yeah, things happen, but it's how quick we can respond. C-Champ says, hello, Roger. Any advice for someone learning about plumbing but don't have the choice to go to a college as of yet? Number one, I did not go to a plumbing college, a trade school, or anything like that. Here in Texas, you can go to work for any plumbing company, if they're not union's gonna have you go through their training program. But you can literally go to work for a plumbing company and learn plumbing. You went to work with a roofer and learn roofing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go to technical college. You don't have to go to trade school. You don't have to go to the union. You can literally get a job in the trades and there you go. And it really is, it's a good way to do it. So if you really want to get into plumbing, I've got a free mini course on my YouTube channel that asks, do you know the difference in commercial and residential, in service and new construction, and union and non-union? And it'll explain those things. Figure out which one of it or which way of it you like, and then, man, find out how to get a job at. It's pretty easy to do. Ricardo Granados, how are you doing? Good morning to you. Squirt says, good morning, crew. Happy Saturday. Yes, this is the FN crew. I hope you are doing fantastic. And that just means FN for now, meaning you don't have to work hard just for now. It's the way we work it. Good morning from Richie Reuter, master number 42702 in El Paso. Ricardo, I hope you're doing good, brother. Squirt says hello to you, and you are more than welcome. Squirt says, after switching from the field to the office for 5 years, always missed building a mechanical room. From empty to complete, nothing like looking for in that door that last time. And I got to tell you, it's neat because I was a superintendent out at Texas Instruments, built some big mechanical rooms there. Actually got to work with Squirt out at Great Wolf Lodge, and he finished the mechanical rooms on the project I started. So it was really pretty cool. So Squirt, good to have you in here. But we're talking really about why skilled trades beats a desk job. And, we talked about it a while ago. I interviewed Mark for the podcast channel, The Trade Talks. If you hadn't seen it, Squirt or Colton or somebody will put a link in here. But how would you feel sitting behind a desk all day, every day?
No, it wouldn't work for me.
You probably do more of it now than you want to.
I do. But man, it's different now because I can actually do things that I enjoy doing without physically working with my hands and stuff anymore. But the reality of it is, I think we're all wired differently. Some people, it doesn't bother them, sit there all day long and look at numbers, spreadsheets, do stuff. I always loved getting out and physically working and, doing things with my hands and building things. So,
and most tradespeople, we look at it like that, building things. And it really is. It's a big deal to us. And, I asked Mark, just like I've talked about before, driving down the road, looking over at other things. And, whoever's riding with you is like, hey, I built that building. Yeah. And I'm like, do you do that? He said, yeah. He said, my wife gets tired of it. I completely understand. But we do. We take so much pride in each and everything we do. But as we get older, now we're building a business.
Yeah.
And it's neat because you've got to sit behind a computer to look at your KPIs, to look at your numbers, to look at each individual crew. What are they doing time-wise? What are they doing budget-wise? And stuff like that adds up really, really quick.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand. And I'm lucky because my first coach was Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth books. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend you do. And Squirt, I think we've got a link to it. If you want to drop that in there, I think that's one of the deals that we have on Amazon. And look, we have an Amazon store. We make a percentage when y'all click on that. But guys, what it does is it gives you the exact books and information and stuff I've read and learned along the way. Do you have any books you've read that you're like, man, this one here was just a game? And look, I meet a lot of tradespeople that are like, dude, I don't read books. And I get it.
Man, I can pull up my phone and give you, I'm a big audiobook guy.
Yeah, me too.
So, but I typically listen to one a month.
Good for you.
And it's, depending upon the mood or what I'm going through or whatever, it could be a Grant Cardone 10X book. It could, be just a leadership book, but it's always some. especially the audio books. I don't have a ton of time to just sit down and read, but it's, driving down the road and all that stuff, listening to it. It's like you always grab these little nuggets
Oh yeah.
out of there that are so beneficial to what we're doing. So
I think that's amazing because and I'm the same way. And it's funny because that's how I heard about the E-Myth book. Somebody recommended it to me at a conference that I went to because the guy was talking about his book. And I asked somebody there, a friend of mine, I said, have you ever really listened to a book or read a book that changed the way you do business? He said, yeah, the E-Myth.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to check that out. And so I did. I was getting ready to take a trip to Austin. Well, I say getting ready to. I was driving to Austin, and I logged into Audible real quick, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this book, and I hit download, and it says you've got to have Wi-Fi service. I'm like, ugh. So I get down to Austin, go into the hotel room, check in, hooked up to the Wi-Fi, went and had dinner with the state rep, Miss Angie Chim Button, that we went down there for. And literally, when I got back to the room, it had downloaded. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and listen to this while I'm getting ready for bed. So turned it on, turned it up, and I'm brushing my teeth, taking my vitamins and all that. And I'm listening, and all of a sudden, man, I just go over and lay it down, and I'm laying there in bed, and I'm listening to that first chapter. And I'm like, this is a game changer. And, man, there's so many books like that. And you talked about Grant Cardone. I think he's fantastic. I got to talk to Grant and, God, was it Brandon or Jordan, one of his people that were in Clubhouse one night when I first got in Clubhouse, and Brandon was talking, or actually Grant was talking, and I raised my hand. And I mean, I still remember this like it was yesterday because it was when Clubhouse was brand new, or when I was new in it. So I still had the little blowhorn thing for your first 7 days that they show you as a newbie. And I remember getting called up on stage, and I'm talking, and he's talking about, Grant says, the 3 things I invest in are myself, my business, and social media. And I'm like, I'm doing all that. So I raised my hand and said, go ahead and talk, and call me up. And I said, look, Grant, I love this because I'm doing exactly what you're talking about. I invest in myself. I invest in my business. I've got a plumbing company. I said, and I'm investing in social media. I'm actually learning social media and growing on YouTube and doing this and doing this. And then Brandon, I'm going to say, starts talking. And I talked to him for a little bit, and Grant comes back on. He's like, dude, you're doing exactly what I'm talking about. And he tweeted it out. He's like, hey, y'all need to check out Roger Wakefield. And I'm like, man, that is really neat. But these books too, I tell people all the time starting in the trades, we don't even know what we don't know. And I know that sounds crazy, but guys, there's so much truth to that. What did you have to learn in the beginning? Or what did you learn that made you think, look, I can do this and grow this and eventually turn this into a business?
I think for a while I was just learning the trade and knowing everything about roofing, getting in there, feeling confident about that. And then as you grow, the next step is learning, how do I get my phone to ring?
Mm-hmm. And that's one we still learn.
Yeah.
I mean
that
every day,
ends.
that's the biggest thing there is.
Yeah. How do I get that phone to ring? And then, everything. I mean, you when you're doing it on your own, you get to learn every little piece of it. But even going in and working for a company, you start seeing and picking up on all the little moving parts that make that whole machine run.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton of them. As you know, it's like everybody looks for the one little magic deal, and I'm like, no, it's
Everybody
all
wants
stuff.
the magic bullet.
Yeah.
What?
all
And people still reach out to me today and say, okay, I know you talk about all these different things you did, all these different things. What is the one thing you did? Every little thing.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, because it takes all of them.
Yeah, and you never stop. I mean, it's a never-ending process. I was embarrassed one day. I thought we were doing a really good job. Everything was rolling smooth, and I was like, man, how do I get more business? And I was meeting with a guy, and we were talking, and he was like, well, he goes, what's your office phone number? And I was like, gave it to him. He picks up his phone. He's like, dialed it. And no one answered.
Goes to voicemail.
No one
Yep,
answered
yep,
the
yep,
phone.
yep.
And he was like, you don't need to
Here's
get more
number one.
business. You need to get better at this. And I was like, okay, lesson learned. You know, it was like, so just, again, all the little pieces.
I love that because I walked in to the best practice group for the initial, week-long training. And I walked in and, they're like, what do y'all think you need? What do you, and I'm like, look, I need marketing. I need you to teach me how to make my phone ring. He says, okay. He says, let me ask you a question. It says, do you know your numbers? I'm like, well, not the way y'all are talking about it. He says, okay. He says, do you think you make money on every job you do? I said, no, I know there's some we don't make money on. He says, okay. Do you know if you make money each year or are you losing money? I think we make money. The bills are getting paid. Says, okay. Says, but what if you're losing money on more jobs than you're making money? And it can happen. Mm. He says, if you make your phone ring, you're just going to lose money faster. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Yeah. He says, until you know how to look at your numbers and know if you're making money, or even know how to look at your jobs and know if you're making money, which luckily I came from big plumbing, commercial, big projects. I was responsible for $20 million jobs. And when you look at that and listen to it that way, it's like, okay, wait, I know we've done a lot of jobs that the superintendents didn't make money on, or it wasn't near as much as they should have made. So I started learning how to look at the big jobs that way. But even on the smaller jobs, it's hard.
Yeah.
Do you do a breakdown on every job you do and say, here's how much profit we made? Or do you how long has it been since you've done a job that's lost money?
It's been a while losing money.
You bet.
I always laugh. One of my guys that's been with me for a long time, I used to have these black books that I would write down every job we did. And I'm not a spreadsheet guy. I wasn't.
I love it. I love
but
it.
It was like we would break down every job, and I had like just stacks of these black books with every job broke down. Now, fast forward to today, it's like we have a weekly meeting, and it's basically talking about, it's an operational meeting, and we go through any job that didn't hit the margin that we were looking for. So it's like, and then we dissect it.
You bet.
And
we used to call those a postmortem.
Yeah.
We'd look at the job after it was said and some of these jobs are literally maybe 3 months later.
Yeah.
And they'd call the entire management team, the superintendent, the project managers, the foreman, maybe even sometimes lead men.
Yeah. And
you get 10 or 15 guys in a room. And it's like, hey, we projected this job at 15%, which is kind of high. It came in at 9%, which is okay. What could we have done better?
Yeah.
And that's, it's not a butt chewing session. It's what did we do wrong? And in there, you could say anything. It's like, you know what? We should have had a better superintendent. Sorry, but, and look, superintendent so-and-so learned a lot on the project, but in the beginning, we weren't getting materials. We weren't getting tools. Yeah. And we've got guys waiting around, and they're like, we'll find something else for them to do. Okay, now you've got to mobilize them, and all this takes time and money. So it's kind of tough.
But I agree. I mean, man, it's one of the most important. You can learn more about what's going on in your business just by really getting into that stuff. Because again, it may be a sales problem.
You bet.
We're selling it at the wrong amount, and there's no matter what we do on production, we're never going to hit that number if we're not selling it right.
Ever.
So, you got that, and then you got, hey, are we getting charged the wrong price for material? Like, what is it? Like, but it always shows you, just by digging into that, you can kind of figure it out.
And most of us don't even know that, that percentage you pay on materials is negotiable. And you can talk, it's like, hey, man, look, I'm comparing your prices. We used to break down our jobs into like 4 different quadrants. We'd have like valves. We'd have pipe and fittings. We'd have hangers. God, maybe fixtures, something like that. I don't remember what all they were now. But literally, we'd send all 4 of those quotes to different companies and say, look, you can bid all 4 of them. You can just bid one of them. You bid it however you want to bid it. but we're going to compare you to these three. And I would even put it together like a complete spreadsheet saying you fill out my form. It's got a spot for you to put in your price per fitting, per valve, per whatever it is. And then there's the multiplier of how many we took off to do on this job. And that way, literally, I can compare column A to 4 different companies. And you go through and when you learn how to use Excel, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies are like, well, we don't want to bid it that way. Then don't bid it. You don't have to. Well, no, we want to bid your job. We want to do it our way. We want to use our form. We want to do this. That's not how we're doing this. Here's how I want it done. If you can't do it, you can't follow the rules, don't play the game.
Yeah.
And they don't like that, which is fine. My job is not to make you happy. I'm trying to buy from you. You want to make me happy, do it the way I ask. If you don't want to do it the way I ask, then don't. And they'd get mad. They'd always try to go above me. Like, you know what? Roger makes money on his jobs. Do it his way or don't do it. It's up to you. And they're like, well, we have a deal. We're going to do this. I understand. But Roger runs his own jobs. And, man, I would make people mad, but it's like, doesn't bother me at all. Denver Shawboy says, all I hear from desk job people is how trades are awful for your body. My girlfriend does a desk job as a counselor, and she said she has awful pains working at a desk job. It's a completely different set of pains. It's, you know, what do the girls call it? Secretary spread. You sit in a chair forever and your tail gets wider. Guys, it can happen to a guy too. I do love the trades. I love the physical part of it. Get up, go get hot, go get muddy, go get dirty, get out. I mean, one of my first jobs was hauling hay, 5th grade. So I am 12 years old, 10 years old, something like that. And I'm out hauling hay. And I mean, picking up 100-pound bales of hay in the middle of a field, sweating profusely, and throwing these bales of hay on the back of a trailer.
Yep.
And it's what we did. And it's a hard job. I'll tell you what, everybody should haul hay for the first 3 or 4 years from the time they turn 12, 13, 14, something like that. Then any job they get after that's easy.
Yeah.
Anyone. You want me to pour concrete? Okay, I can do that. It's easier than being out in that field hauling hay.
Yeah.
What do you think some of the best reasons it is to work in the field in the trades instead of behind the desk?
Well, I guess dig into that angle of what that question, like, what are you looking for? Like, as far as the physical
I mean, it can be different to everybody. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons that I think skilled trades beat desk jobs. But one of my biggest is the pride that we take. Mm-hmm. When we talked about this earlier. You're driving down the road. You're like, hey, I'll put that roof on there. I built that building. And when you look at it like that, what we do as tradespeople, we take so much pride in each and everything we do all the time. At least most of us do. What do you do as a person who sits behind a desk? Gee, I built a spreadsheet today that would blow your mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. I mean, man, we have a lot of people in our company now. A lot of them are trades guys out in the field.
And there's desk jobs too.
People. Like, man, at the end of the day, I don't know that you say, oh, one's more important than the other.
Oh, I didn't say more important.
No, yeah. I mean, I get it. But those, I think, like, I see, like, we have some people that are sitting in an office behind a desk that take just as much pride in doing what they
completely agree.
Is the guy out in the field. I think it really boils down. I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to that person. And again, we've talked, I won't stop talking about this, but it's like, man, being out in the field doing work with your hands isn't cut out for everybody, and that's not how they're wired. And it's like they may not get enjoyment out of that, like
and
I did.
Some people don't. You bet.
I mean,
I went down and shot a Dr. Phil episode a couple of weeks ago, and literally he had this young kid on there that tried electrical work, tried it for 3.5 years. Says he got out of it, found a job online where he can work his own hours. He doesn't have to get up when anybody tells him to, and all that. And I'm not saying anyone's more important than the other, so don't take that wrong. We need the office people, okay? But I remember being when I was a superintendent for one of the mechanical contractors here in Dallas. I remember being in the office one day, and I'm copying some papers for a meeting out at the job site, and I hear two ladies in the office behind me talking, and they were complaining about the plumbers out in the field. And it's like, they always need something. They always want something. That they're such a pain. And it's like, some days I hate dealing with this.
Yeah.
And me being a superintendent and having great relationships with the people in the office, I just kind of walked over and stuck my head in. I said, hey, I don't want to sound bad or anything, but y'all understand we get paid to do what those guys out in the field do. Because a lot of times the office people, they don't like the guys out on the roof.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't like the salesman.
Yeah.
They don't like all these people.
Oh, yeah.
And I told them, I said, y'all understand we get paid to do what they do. Nobody's paying us to have you sit here and do this work. You understand that, right? And they just kind of looked at me like, uh-oh. And I said, look, I don't mean it bad. I said, and look, I got to deal with these guys every day. I get it. They're not all easy to deal with. But at the end of the day, they do the work that brings the money in here. And I hope y'all remember that. And man, they were literally like, Roger, man, that came out all wrong. It's like, no, I know what you meant, but y'all just need to remember that's who brings the money in around here. Yep. And man, it's so true.
It is, yeah.
And salespeople may not, or office people may not always like the people out in the field and think, man, if I never had to deal with them, it'd be amazing. Yeah, well, quit. Because there's going to be no money coming.
That's right.
And because those are the guys that do bring in the dollars.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting way to look at it, but it's part of it. Randall Lubin says, good morning from the Caribbean, St. Lucia. Man, I want to be there so bad right now. I know. I want to go. Guys, there is a link to the Trade Talks right there. Squirt, thank you for putting that in there. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can pin that over here. I think that I can. So up at the link now, up at the top, there is a link to the Trade Talks. Guys, if I were y'all, I would go over there and subscribe just because, man, I do some great, let's see, there we go. I do some great interviews, and that link up top will take you over there where you can see the stuff that we do. Speaking of, I interviewed your partner here before, Mr. Gus.
Yeah.
Got to have him in. That was pretty cool. I like him. Let me see where we're at. Guys, and those of y'all that don't know, I'll put that up there. We've got an app coming out. I built my own app teaching people how to get in the trades, how to become better tradesmen, how to start their own businesses, and how to use networking and social media to grow it. Pretty cool stuff. Denver says, the reason I enjoy trade work over a desk job is the fact that you can see the nature of our beautiful planet. I remember working up north and being on the rooftop, seeing the hills and waterfront. And Denver, man, that's a good thing, because I remember, one of my favorite jobs that I did, I helped build Schlumberger down in Austin, out in the hill country. And I would literally get to work early so I could go up to the roof of one of these buildings, looking over this little river, creek, whatever it was, and watching the deer get up and feed every morning. And I'm not a deer hunter, but that was just like, man, this is cool. It's like being in church. You get to be right up there with God and get to watch his beautiful planet come to life. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you love about the trades, or being in the trades?
Well, backing up there, like I think the trades, like one of the cool parts in the environment, like what you just said and everything else, like I remember those same. It's hard to beat those feelings. Like, man, when you're outside working or doing your job, and like, man, I used to love getting roof jobs that were on the lake. And I'd get those, and I'd do the same thing, man. I'd plan it out because I'm like, I'm gonna get up there early.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting on your roof at 4 in the morning.
I'll be sitting up there when the sun's rising.
Absolutely,
it's like, man. There's nothing like that, especially when the weather's good.
Like, yeah. When the weather's not good, it may not be as fun.
Then it ruins that for you. But
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, so there is a link, and I'm trying to remember what we put a link in there for. Oh, dadgum, Randy, you should have put that in too. Anyway, yeah, there's whatever link I asked Randy to pull up. It was to a book or something. Squirt says, Denver, I hear you on that one. I had some wonderful views over the years. And not even just out in the country. I remember going in to work early in downtown Dallas, and you get up there and go over to the edge of the floor and, pull up a stool or a workbench or a bucket and sit there and eat some breakfast tacos and just watch the city come to life. And it's so neat to go in late at night or I'll say late at night, early in the morning, while the city's still sound asleep, and then just slowly watch it come to life. Watch the blinking lights go to red, green, and yellow. Watch one car an hour go to 1,000 cars a minute, and you just watch it and watch it change. It really is. It's pretty cool. Tres Forrest says, what do you think of construction sites that require COVID vaccines to enter the work site? I think a lot of them. I just think I'll never be on one. Yeah, that was easy. Yeah. Way to go, Brandon. I just look. I would never. When it comes to something like a vaccine, I'm not going to let anybody tell me what I have to do to my body. And do y'all require vaccines to work for y'all?
No, we, when all that was going on, that was a whole ordeal. But like I left it up to the individual. I was like, man, me too. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Like for those that don't. Like,
and we even supplied the masks.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, I've got them. You want to wear them? Here's a mask. Here's gloves. Here's glasses. Here's goggles. Here's anything you need. And I still had. I used to have a service manager. I think the ruffles on his panties got crooked every time you talked about COVID or weather. I mean, think about it. When you've been around Gus long enough to know, when it ices and storms, are the plumbers the busiest people in the world?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my service manager called all the employees, said the roads are dangerous. If you drive on them, you're going to die. And I'm like,
shut the business down.
Yeah, shut it down for a week. I was out running calls by myself. Nobody else wanted to come to work.
Oh man.
And I'm like, yeah, chalk one up to you. But I think you get some people that just don't want to work. And I had a guy we'll call Stoney that just didn't want to work. So yeah, not good. But no, I'm not going to go to work anywhere for any company that tells me I have to have a vaccine. The satisfaction of truly getting to help people is why I stay with it. Braden, I like that because this is one thing that I talk about. This is why I love residential service. And I was a great superintendent in the union, ran some of the biggest jobs in Dallas, was definitely involved with the biggest of the biggest jobs. I was quality control manager of Parkland Hospital, 2 million square feet of county hospital. And I loved it, thoroughly enjoyed it. But to be able to walk into a customer's house that another plumbing company's already ripped them off. We got a call one day, and I remember because Julie came in and told me, she said, hey, we're sending David out to this job. This lady had a home warranty. She had her HVAC guy come over. And the HVAC guy came over and says, hey, look, I want to fix your units, but you've got a gas leak or something up in your attic, and I can smell it, and it's kind of strong. You need to have a plumber come out. So she called the warranty company back. They send a plumber out. Guy knocks on the door, and she says, hey, got a gas leak up in the attic, and need you to check it out. He says, well, okay, I'm gonna go over and check your meter first and all this. 5 minutes later, comes back to the door, says, I've turned your gas off. You have a leak underground. It's $10,000 to fix it. Go ahead and sign this paperwork, and we'll get started. And she's like, what? Wait a minute, what? So number one, you're the warranty company. Number two, the leak's in the attic. And he says, ma'am, look, I'm telling you, you got a leak out here. It's $10,000. She says, I need to think about this. I said, well, okay, I've turned your gas off. Call me tomorrow. I'll come back. You can sign it, and we'll get started, whatever you want to do. And it's funny because she told Julie at the time, she says, as soon as I quit cussing, I started praying, and I turned on the computer and found y'all. And Julie said, look, I don't know what to tell you. We can send somebody out. Here's how much it is. We have a service fee. And My guy went out there, turned the gas back on, goes upstairs and does a test. We found 3 leaks in her attic, and that was it. $800 by the time we took things apart, put it all back together, and did all that. People are getting ripped off every day. So getting to help people, and I mean, man, a lot of times I'll get teary-eyed telling that story, because it's like there are people out there ripping people off every day. And I remember I had a manager come in one day excited because they had sold $100,000 job. And they're like, man, this lady's she's gonna cash in her retirement. She's gonna do this. She's gonna do this. And I'm thinking, dude, y'all are excited about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that breaks my heart. And man, you've got to be careful, because there are a lot of people in here that aren't truly trying to help any people other than themselves. And that makes it tough. I love the fact that you said for the first few years of your company, all you did is roof repair.
Yeah.
You weren't really trying to sell a new roof.
No.
You're like, look, we can fix almost anything.
Yeah.
A lot of roofing companies don't even do roof repair, do they?
No. Yeah. I mean, I think in the podcast we talked on it for a minute, but like a lot of the other roofing companies would send us their repairs and stuff because they didn't want to mess with them.
Yeah.
So they would go, we're either replacing it or we don't want to mess with a couple $100 repair. But I think that's, I mean, for us, that's what helped build our company, is because eventually they do need a repair, just like your water heater or anything else. It's like eventually it's not worth repairing anymore.
You bet. And there's ways to present that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like, well, excuse me, how old is your roof?
Yeah.
20 years and you hadn't had another one, and you just got hit with a hard hailstorm and you can almost see air through your roof. Yeah, it's time.
I mean, we even, and this is in the last couple of years, like I'll try to monitor like what we're selling. And I don't know if we use company cam, a lot of that stuff to be able to see all the stuff going on. And one of my guys, he's no longer with me, had sold like a $14,000 repair job, like a big repair job. And I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the contract, and I'm looking at all the photos, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. Like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Like, the lady needs a new roof. Like, and so I ended up like that one, man. I called that customer and I was like, we can't do this.
Yeah, we need to fix
this. I
this.
hate to say this. It's like, but you're wasting your money right now. If you spend this with us, like, you need to do this. And if that's not now, just don't do anything until you're ready. But it's like, yeah. So I agree.
That's tough. Squirt says, I think the most important reason skilled trades beat desk jobs is you learn more useful physical skills to create things from nothing using both mental and physical abilities. Desk is mentally mainly. And there's so much truth to that. And one thing I love about being in the skilled trades is that you learn better mechanical aptitude. You learn to work with your hands. I'm not afraid to put things together. I'm not afraid to do electrical, although in the beginning I didn't want to ever get shocked. But you let me watch a YouTube video and show me how to wire something. I can do that. I can make sure it's done right. And I think the more you're in trades, the longer you're in it, the more you're like, look, there's nothing I can't do if I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me. And I think that's another reason, a good reason, Squirt, that being in the skilled trades is better than a desk job. But guys, look, I'm not saying we don't need desk jobs. We need them. And we need those people. It's a different mindset, a different type person.
Yeah.
And I mean, people say, oh, well, women do desk jobs and men work out in the field. I know a female in Canada who's an iron worker and a boiler maker. And if you told her, hey, I'm going to give you a job, put you behind a desk, she'd be like, you know what? No. That ain't working.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Rab says, I was on sites my whole teens and 20s, ended up surveying in my 30s. I don't miss the winters one bit. And it's good you look at that, Rab. And I like that because I remember, we talk about bringing people in. We had a young apprentice sign up for the union. They sent him down to my job. We're out at DFW Airport. It's wintertime. And he comes on, man. He's got a jacket. He's got everything on. But he gets down there, and I put him with somebody, and he's there most of the morning. And come around lunchtime, I'm walking around checking on everybody. And he says, Mr. Rogers, you think I can talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah, absolutely. He came out and talked to me. He said, hey, I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to go home. I said, okay, is everything okay? He said, yeah. He said, this ain't for me. I said, wow, man, it's your first day. He said, yeah, I already know. He said, this is not one. He said, number one, it's cold. Number two, it's dirty out here. He said, I don't like this. Yeah. I said, man, I completely get it. I said, well, you know, come on out there and I'll give you a ride out. He said, no. I've already called my mom. She's coming to get me. Huh. I said, wow. I said, okay. And look, it's not for everybody. Just like I couldn't sit behind a desk all day, every day. And I do that more than I want to nowadays. There's a lot of people that wouldn't want to be out in a ditch with a shovel, even without a shovel, or up on a hot roof in Texas. Does it get warm on a roof in the summertime in Texas?
Yeah. I don't know. Everybody's different. For me, the heat I could deal with. I was good with that. I hated the winter.
Oh yeah,
same thing. It was like, man, I dreaded getting up on those roofs in the winter when it is just miserably cold and working up there. That was one part I don't miss of being out in the field anymore.
And that's what I told that kid. I said, look, if you hate this, you'll really hate the wintertime.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
He says, I've already figured that part out.
It's hard, man. That's a big part of it, though. I think everybody takes that stuff for granted, but it's like working outside and working in the trades, man, you have to be able to adapt both summertime and wintertime to be able to do that.
Be ready for it.
Yeah.
It's whatever it is.
It's a big one.
And you know, it's easy in the wintertime to yourself, okay, look, it's not going to be like this forever. I got to deal with it for a little while. Luckily here in Texas, it doesn't get that cold for that long. But there are times that, I mean, I remember one time in the 80s where I don't think it went above 30 degrees for, 30 or 60 days or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is not fun.
Yeah.
Tres Fort says, ha, great answer. I'll never be one either. That's why I'm a plumber, ex-nurse here. Good for you. And that's another skilled, and I'm going to call it a trade. I know nurses have to go to college and school for the education, but still, you're there with your hands working with people, around people, every day. So I get it. Zigerman says, we've been vaccinated since we were babies. You know what? I don't disagree with you. And I've got my vaccines. I've got my vaccine record somewhere. So I don't get polio and the measles and the mumps and all that stuff. But so I guess you got your vaccination shot. You're vaxxed. And that's up to you. You're more than welcome to. I did not want a vaccination on a product that's been developed in less than a year. And they're like, hey, we've got all the answers in the world right here, and we just did it. Man, if y'all are that good, cure cancer. Yeah. Just go and knock that out. Yeah, make it as big a priority as you just did, and we'll be good. So you're right. We have been getting vaccinated forever, but that was also when I was a kid when I didn't have a choice. Because trust me, when I went to the doctor to get a shot, I told my mom and dad, no, I don't want it. Please. Yeah, well, they did it anyway. Yeah. And trust for it, I agree with you. I do think plumbing is the best trade. I like it for a lot of different reasons. And like Denver says, don't say that to an electrician. Look, if electricians were any smarter, they'd be plumbers too. I'm just going to throw that out there.
At the fire department, we used to always say the only reason why guys choose police department over the fire department is because they just couldn't make it on there.
Man, and I get it. No, I get it. It says, what do you think is it? What do you think it's in a tetanus shot we all received in high school? They've been forcing the poisons on us. And tetanus is a little bit different. Look, I'm a plumber. I get cut by metal that most people would be like, dude, you need to just cut your arm off right now. And I'm not going to, but shots like that have been developed and been around for 100 years. Okay, I get that. Y'all probably had time to prove that it works. So we all look at it different. Chris Fort says, people underestimate the critical thinking and forethought required for plumbing. Very easy to waste time and money. of course, floods if you're not on point. But critical thinking and forethought, you got to do a lot of critical thinking to be a roofer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to solve a lot of problems, especially if you're doing roofing repairs like nobody else wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we talked about it before, but there's in any of the trades, like there's so many different variables that fall into every repair, every replacement, all the different things. So if you're going to be good at it, you need to be able to have some critical thinking skills for sure.
In just about any trade. God, even we were talking to somebody, a nurse a while ago. I get it. You've got to be critical thinking. And I'm not even going to say that desk people aren't. Because if you've got somebody and they're trying to balance numbers and make stuff add up and make sense, you've got to be a critical thinker. I do social media. You don't think there's a lot of critical thinking going on in that? Like, hey, wait, I got a problem here. I got to solve this. And I got to do this. It's all in how it's looked at. The chess guy says one main reason why skilled trades are better is because you get to learn skills that can help other people, and you get to also pass down those skills from future generations to come. Look, I like that. My grandfather was an inventor type person. He would build stuff and manufacture stuff, and man, it was great. And I love the fact that I grew up and did that same type of thing. And, maybe Squirt became a pipe fitter because, God, when he was 12, 13 years old, I had him out working with me plumbing. But when I got him into school in plumbing, he got in and then told him, oh, wait, I want to go pipe fitting instead of plumbing. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, the never dead IV. Let me make one thing clear to the American politics. No matter how high the age they set retirement, I will retire when I'm ready, even if I have to sell everything I have and live in a tent. And you know what? Welcome to America. You have the right to do that. They can set the age to say, this is when we're going to give you your Social Security back. This is when we're going to give you this. This is when we're going to give you this. I know 40-year-old people that are retired. So, you do you. How old are you right now?
47.
Could you retire and walk away right now if you wanted to?
Yeah, if I wanted to live in a tent. No.
I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
And that's my thing. I love what I do. And whether it's talking about social media, whether it's doing social media, whether it's plumbing itself, I still love plumbing. If I got a call today that says, hey, Roger, man, I got a plumbing here I can't figure out. I'd be like, really? Where's it at? I want to look at it.
Yeah.
Because that's the way my mind works. And again, let me go back. I'm not saying that I think the skilled trades jobs are better. For me and the way I am, it's a better way to go for me. Number one, I went to high school for two reasons. Girls and football. In that order. Football was fun, but girls were funner. And, the smart thing is, or the sad thing is, I had a very high IQ. I should have been an honor grad. I just didn't want to put in the work. I was bored with school. I was bored with school from the time I was probably in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade, around in there. It got to where, okay, we're still learning math.
Yeah.
We're still learning reading. Why do I need to be able to break down and fragment a sentence?
I think that's true of probably everybody wired like in some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
High school, I did not do good in high school. My grades were not good.
I made a 70. Do you know why?
That's
what I had to make to pass.
That's right.
And that's all I'm worried about. As long as I'm at 70, I'm good. Leave me alone.
But it was funny, for me, once I got outside of that and did some of the college, did the fire academy, all that little stuff, smoked it. Because I was interested in it. It was like, I get this. This stuff
You bet.
is fun to me.
And it's something you wanted to learn.
Right.
When I went to cosmetology school, I made like a 99. When I went to massage school with college level anatomy and physiology in there, I made a 98 or 99.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, I'm going home, I'm reading books. I'm like, man, I wanted to learn it. I could have passed either one of those exams blindfolded. I knew it. It's like, man, I got this.
Yeah.
This is man, this is good. But when you look at art in high school, and that's the class I remember making a 70 on my exam, literally, Roger, here's your exam, my senior year, 10 questions. There you go. And I sat down and answered the first 7, walked back up. I said, Miss Nancy, here you go. She looked at it. She says, what did you do? I said, I answered 7 questions. She said, there's 10 on there. I said, I understand that. She said, Roger, you get 10 points per question. I said, I've done the math. She said, why are you doing this? I said, because that's what I need to pass. She said, what if you got one wrong? I said, I didn't.
It's pretty confident.
But I mean, but I knew it. I mean, I knew the work. I just did not want to do the work. Think about that. I answered 7 questions. Why? I wanted to leave. I didn't want to answer those next 3. I knew I passed. Who cares? And it is. You're right. It's cocky. It's confident. It's stupid. I see now. But at the time, it's like, look, I'm just doing what I got to do to get by. That's all I want to do. Then when I got into plumbing, when I got into cosmetology, when I got into massage, wait, I want to be good at this.
Yeah.
I want to be really good at this. And don't get me wrong, my parents taught me about hard work and all that. But when you take somebody that is completely bored with school, you got to find a way to make it entertaining. And I think that all we're doing is we're raising kids to teach them to go get jobs. You know, hey, your job is 8 to 4:30, kind of when school is. You come in, you sit down, you be quiet, you do what the teacher tells you, kind of what work is. It's just that's what we're doing. We're growing and raising employees. And we're teaching them to be on time. Me as an employer, I hate people coming in late.
Yeah.
So learn that on time thing.
And get your thoughts on this. I had this conversation with my daughter the other day. She's at A&M. She's going nursing degree. Yeah. Sorry. But we got into this conversation of like, you know, I don't know if they're being taught this somewhere because it didn't really necessarily come from me. But it was like, I want to do something that I love doing. And like for me, like, so they get out of high school and they go, man, I got to find the job that I'm going to really love. Mm-hmm. But like, I started looking at that and I was like, that's not necessarily true. Like, I mean, because then it was like, well, okay, let's talk about like, man, what kind of lifestyle are you going to love living? Like, and what's going to provide that for you? And that became more of the conversation. And I told my daughter, I was like, hey, I go, do you really think, man, my ambition was to go, I'm going to be a roofer? Like, that's really.
You didn't dress up as a roofer at Halloween every year, did you?
It wasn't like. That
Put a
was
tool
my
bag on,
aspiration
throw a
to
hammer over
go
your
out
shoulder,
there.
and walk up the house.
But it was
Tick-tock.
like the thing but she was like, yeah, but you love doing what you're doing. I go, yeah. I love doing it because it also gives us the freedom over here to do the things we love doing. Like,
and I think you can learn to love what you're doing.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying I hate roofing. I love
I get it.
doing it, but it's like, man, some of the jobs I think we take, especially young, you get into, and that morphs over time, whether you love it or you don't love it.
I think it's a great conversation because I truthfully think there's so many people out there today that tell kids, you know, find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what they're thinking. This kid that was on Dr. Phil with me, he's like, look, I don't want to work hard. And I'm like, where are y'all learning that crap at? Yeah. And he's like, you know, I don't want to work for somebody that's going to tell me when I got to get up, when I got to be at work, when I got to do things. And I'm like, but you want to eat?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Now he did. He got online, found a job, something he can do. And I didn't ask what kind of money he's making or anything. But, and don't get me wrong, it's not always about the money. If you've got a job you literally hate, if you hated going to the roofing job every single day, chances are you still wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
You'd be like, look, I hate it. I'm afraid of heights. I don't like the heat. I don't like the cold. I can name all the way up and down this arm all the things I hate. And here's the 2-3 things. I like the money. I like the beautiful views in the summertime on top of the roof when I get to watch the neighborhood come to life. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's all you like, chances are you're not going to last very long.
I think it, like, I look at it, it's finding more of the piece that fulfills you. So, like, I think the trades people in general, like, we enjoy not necessarily roofing, but I enjoy working with my hands, building stuff, doing things. Like, you could take any of those people and put them in the HVAC, plumbing, electric, whatever. And that part is the piece that they get the fulfillment out of. It's not necessarily the nail in the shingle or the sweat in the pipe or whatever. It's like just that is what they enjoy.
Completely different. Number one, back to your daughter. Other than the A&M thing. Sorry about that. Yeah, just slipped out. So it just slipped out. I don't know if you see the Longhorn helmet up here over my shoulder.
Yeah.
But you know, the big thing to me is, look, as a nurse, if you love taking care of people, good for you. Okay. You found a job that you're going to love. But then along the way, you're going to find out, well, their families aren't always nice, or there's patients that aren't always nice. And right now you're thinking, look, I love taking care of people. What a great career. And it can be phenomenal. I love kids. I could not be a school teacher. I would choke some kids. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I did not say that, y'all.
You might.
I might. But not even them. Then you got to deal with their parents.
Yeah.
And it's like they come in saying, look, you're not teaching little Johnny to be a nice kid. Wait, you've had him all his life. I get him 43 minutes a day, and you want me to make him perfect? I'm sorry, you dropped the ball on that one. And so many people, and thank God my granddaughter, she said, Papa, look, I want to go to school. I want to be a teacher. It's like, no. She's like, no, that's what I want to do. It's like, no. Come to work with me. Brought her in to work with me for a month. After the second week, I said, do you like this? She said, no. I said, then you don't have to stay. So she said, look, I do. I want to be a teacher. It's like, oh, okay. After about the first 6 weeks or two, she's like, you know what? I don't think this is what I want. Quit, get out, walk away now, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. But this whole thing of finding a job that you love, it's not. I mean, I guess the only way that works is if you'd asked me the day I graduated high school, Roger, what do you love? Football and girls. How are you going to make a living at that? Well, I'm 5'9", 5'10", not big enough to go play college football, not big enough to get in the pros. And I guess if I'd have looked at it earlier, I could have said, okay, I could become a kicker. Man, I could become a great kicker. Okay, but that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, man, I'm a quarterback. This is what I do. And I hear these kids talking about, look, oh no. I'd rather spend time with my friends. I'd rather go out and have fun. You know, work's like the third or fourth thing on my list. And I mean, literally, I mean, I've got those phone calls. It's like, hey, Roger, I'm not coming to work today. I got some friends going out to the lake, and I'm going to go with them. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I did this as a superintendent. I was out at TI. I was running a building out there. Had an apprentice, Jay. And Jay'd come in late every day. And finally, he came in late one morning. I said, go home. He said, what do you mean go home? I said, I don't want you here. I said, if you can't show up tomorrow on time, don't come in tomorrow. Yeah. And he said, you can't do it. I said, heck, I can't. You work for me on my crew. You don't like it, go across the street and tell them, because that's where our main office was. I said, and tell them if they send you back over here that I'm going home, because I ain't playing this game. And he came in the next day, and he was on time. No, he wasn't. He came in the next day late. I said, did I not tell you not to come in? Mm. So I said, look, you hang around. I'll talk to you. I hang around, walked in the office. I said, dude, what's up? He said, look, I've got a kid. He says, I love the fact that I can get up and take him to school. So, well, great. Take him in earlier. He says, I can't. It's okay. Then I suggest you get a job closer to your house or go to work at McDonald's or something. I said, dude, I want to do this. I said, no, you don't. Do you not understand the money you make here? And he was making good money. The money you make here is what allows you to get to do the things you do. Mm. And he's like, yeah, but. I said, there is no but. You have a job. These are the requirements. If you can't do it, leave. And I don't know what deal he worked out, but from that day forward, he was there. And man, he was good. But I told him, I said, I can't let you come in late and then expect everybody else to be here on time every day. And eventually, and not even eventually, he loved what he did. He's like, man, I enjoy this. I love getting to come in and build things and put things together and troubleshoot things and do this and do this and do this. I said, then you got to be here on time. And I go back to that kid that I was talking about the other day that tried electrical for 3.5 years and said, hey, it's not for me. I don't want people telling me when I got to get up and be at work. Okay, entrepreneur sounds good for you, but here's the deal. And a buddy of mine told me this, Speaks Plumbing here in Garland. Literally, when I told him, hey, man, I'm thinking about opening my own company. I said, good. So I'm here for some advice. He said, get ready to work harder than you've ever worked.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I thought, dude, I'm opening my own company so I don't have to work as hard. He's like, that's not why you open your own company.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big misunderstanding of being a business owner. Like, people think there's caveats to that, right? I mean, but especially like when you're really getting going, man, that'll be the hardest you probably ever work in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're everything. Like, I mean,
And it should be.
Yeah.
That's your baby. I tell people all the time, would you just hand your baby to somebody else and say, here, raise my baby for me? That's what we do with marketing companies. We just hand our business to them. Say, here, make my phone ring.
Yeah.
And we step back and say, okay, it's up to you, man. Would you do that with your baby? Because that business better be your baby. Mm-hmm. And you're going to work harder at it than you do anything else.
Yep.
The Never Ready said, never dead IV says, I'm not going to wait to see if I live to be 70 or whatever they raise it to. And guys, you don't have to. Retire from the system, not to a couch and nursing home bed. There you go. Pipe fitter was definitely the way for me. Any smarter, you'd have been a plumber. Oh, sorry. Ziggerman says, Roger that. Rad Dad says, I went from being an electrician of 20 years to a process controls and automation engineer. And guys, look, that's an easy transition. I'm not going to say easy. I worked for an engineer out at Texas Instruments, and man, I learned all I could from him. You work from a guy that taught you how to repair things the right way. Mm-hmm. I learned all that I could, and it makes such a big difference of who you learn from and the fact that you want to learn. You'll see Randy in here. We were talking, and one of the things he said is, when you're on some of the big jobs around, the superintendent will bring you and show you all around the job and all that. Start telling you, yeah, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. And they'd always come to this guy and say, man, that's the old crotchety guy. Nobody wants to work with him. Randy's like, that's who I want to work with. He says, no, nobody wants to work with him. He's ornery, he's mean, he screams and yells and cusses and all that. He's like, okay, that's the one I want to work with. Man, that guy's got more experience than anybody else, who you can learn from. Him or the guy over here that everybody wants to work with him because he's nice and friendly. If you don't want to do something, just let you lay there and not do anything. Okay, guess what you're going to learn? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's a crazy, crazy place. The chess guy says another reason why skilled trades are better is because you get to become the go-to person to solve problems and help improve people's quality of living. I love that. And look, guys, I want to say this again. I'm not saying they're better. I just think that there's top reasons skilled trades beat a desk job. We still need the desk people. So I'm not saying skilled trades are better. I'm saying it's definitely better for me. Mark thinks it was better for him. But look, what I know in the skilled trades, man, believe it or not, I can walk into a restaurant and stop a running toilet, even if it's just turn it off. I can unclog a toilet. I can do anything plumbing. But I also know, hey, if the light switch doesn't make noise or doesn't work right, I can change that. If I want a new chandelier in the living room, okay, I can change that.
I do. I agree with you there. I think as a skilled trade, you probably have a lot more options. as long as you're the right work ethic, all the little
You bet.
foundational pieces are
You
right.
check all the
It's like,
boxes.
yeah,
you do things right. You learn to do it
I mean,
right.
man, at the end of the day, like somebody told me it's like the beautiful part of getting in the trades is like, one, you're a little bit recession proof. Like, I mean,
a lot recession proof.
all the little pieces, it's like you can, as long as you can work with your hands and you're good with your hands, it's like you'll always have a job. Like, there's always stuff.
Completely agree. And I like this about helping people's quality of living. You know, when I was growing up, my dad taught me how to work on cars, how to do different things like that. And the cool thing about it is always, you know, like I said, girls in football. If I went somewhere with a girl and her brakes were squeaking, it's like, you want me to change your brakes for you?
It's a good
And
pickup.
they're like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, I can do it. They're like, well, the shop's going to charge me $400. How much are you? Just go buy the brakes. We'll go down, we'll go pick them up right now. Well, how much are they? No, $30, $40. And you can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless your drum or rotor needs to be turned. And they're like, wait, what? And it's like, well, they're grinding they're squeaking, grinding, whatever they're doing. And it's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Abdul Kayumi says, hey, Roger, would Rescue Air go union? You know, look, when I sold to Rescue Air, I had Texas Green Plumbing. I had been union. And I wanted to do that for my employees. I wanted the insurance. I wanted the benefits. I wanted the training center. I wanted so many things. But, you know, Craig Brinson down at Local 100 helped make that not work. I don't think that they liked having me in the union because I believe that the companies that I worked for, I supported more than the union. And they didn't like that. I wanted to do what's best for the companies I work for and the employees on my job. But it caused problems, and we fought about it and argued about it. I don't think Rescue Air would now, but they don't need to. The union is not strong enough in Texas to take on the residential. That would have to be a national campaign for them. And then I think 90% of the companies will go union because of the training, because of the insurance, because there's so many good things along the way. But you've also got to be able to say as a union, hey, we've got to provide these people with the best trained people and give them what they're looking for, not just say, hey, they're going to hire from us just because they signed a union contract. So
this is probably ignorance on my part. I didn't know Texas was that big of a union. Like, is that
there's several union contractors here in Dallas,
really,
and they normally do the bigger jobs. I kept trying to get them to go union. I'm trying to get Mark McManus, the president of the UA, to come in here and let me talk to him and interview him. I think there's great things about the union. And there's even a roofers union here in Dallas. But there's so many things that I think could help the union and help it grow and help it become even stronger. And I truthfully think in the long run that helps the employees because you make more money, you have better insurance packages. And you know the union says united we negotiate, divided we beg. And man, it's kind of like that. But there's also bad things about the union, especially when you can let one person like Craig control what companies do well and do bad and get good people and get bad people and try to blackball people and things like that. Then you're letting one person screw everything up. So, you know, avoid Local 100. You're good because I think the rest of them are doing pretty good. The Never Dead IV says, we all spend so much time coming and going, but we never have time to stop and think about what we can actually do in this world. It's rush from cradle to grave and following a constant process. And you know, that's your opinion. I've worked hard, but man, I think I've lived a good life. I love it. I love what I do. And this all started, I think with the vaccine. Okay. I chose not to be vaccinated. I'm still doing what I want to do. I don't know if Mark got a vaccine or not. It doesn't matter to me. I still invite him in and say, hey, let's talk about the reason skilled trades are preferred to a desk job for people like us. Abdul says the Plumbers Union in Texas offers residential classes. I heard. They do down in Houston. I think Houston and Austin, I think, are set up great. I think Dallas sucks. I want to be honest. The locals in Houston and Austin, they understand, hey, we can train residential and do really good here. Dallas chose to go a different way. They're all commercial. I stayed a union member for almost 5 years with my residential company, trying to get them to build the training center and do the training and help and grow. And somebody there didn't want to, so they didn't have to. Imagine a world where you did a different job every week and learned to do everything instead of that one thing all the time. Well, a world like that would suck because you're going to have people that have 1 week experience at stuff. There's, I mean, do you want to call a plumber that's, oh, this is his 1 week to do plumbing?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No.
me either. I don't want a roofer on my house that's had 4 days to learn it before he comes to see me.
Yep.
Now, if you just want to be a handyman, man, call Hank's Handyman. You can go learn how to do all kinds of different things. I think that's great. And if that's the kind of job you want, man, there's nothing wrong with that. But some of us want to become a specialist. And I tell people, even as a plumber, I wanted to be a specialist. I learned whole house water filtration. I learned slab leak detection. I wanted to be a specialist in what I did. The cool thing that I love about plumbing is I can do something different every single day.
Yeah.
As a roofer, especially when you're doing roofing repairs, it's a different day every day.
Yeah.
A different house, a different neighborhood, a different city, a different customer.
Yeah.
Have you ever had customers you like, customers you didn't like?
Oh, yeah.
And you learn to deal with all of them. So, you know, this may be why I think sitting behind a chair is not the great job for me.
Yeah.
Because then it's the exact same view every day, the exact same computer, the exact same keyboard, the exact same 4 walls slowly closing in on you all the way around.
And that's different for everybody. Like, again,
You bet.
man.
Some people prefer that.
Yeah, some people.
I want to sit in the same spot every day the rest of my life.
Yeah, Groundhog's Day over and over again,
bet.
and they're happy.
Good for you.
Like, you know.
No, and you're right. It's a good way to look at it. Carlos Guzman says, hello, I'm in college for engineering, first year. I enjoy it, but lately I've been interested in the trades just to learn how things are built and to learn a skill. Should I leave for a trade? Carlos, number one, I would never tell anybody to leave college. I just tell them not to go. You may have that mindset where learning engineering may be great for you. Then getting in the field, I know an engineer, worked at Parkland Hospital with me. He's a PE. He's trying to get his plumbing license. He's like, look, I want to learn plumbing to that depth, to that detail. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell Carlos, like, man, stay doing what you're doing. Maybe in the summertime, whatever, go get an internship or go find you a job and go test it out. You know, I mean, you don't have to fire the cannon just yet. You can shoot a BB gun
ready,
at it
fire,
and
aim.
see if you like it. Because it's different. Like, a lot of the guys that come in for interviews with us, before we hire them, they may be all gung-ho, but again, like I love stuff to be 100% transparent, and we'll say, hey, why don't you come next week and go do a ride-along with one of our guys and go ride out, see what these guys do day in, day out, and then you make up your mind.
You know, I love that. And Carlos, look, I'm not saying no. I mean, I'm not saying yes, quit. I'm not saying no, don't think about trying it. But my thought is, if you're going to college, when you're off in the summer, you know, call Mark. Say, hey, Mark, look, man, I'm a college student. I'd love to come in and work with you during the summer. I'd like to spend a month learning sales or behind the desk or project management. I'd like to spend a month out on jobs installing roofs.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking about getting into the trade. You know, you can learn a skill like that. And I mean, you're lucky enough to be able to go to college and get those breaks where you can say, hey, I guarantee you call this company and say, hey, I want to become an electrician. Can I ride with y'all this summer and learn electrical work? Gus will be like, look, if you're willing to come in and learn, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd pay you more or less or whatever, but because then he knows, look, this isn't a long-term investment. Then again, maybe it is. You know what? You graduate with an engineering degree and want to be a plumber, man, you come in and spend the summers with us and we realize, look, you're learning and growing. Yeah, I'll put you on as a plumber and maybe move you up to a project manager, a sales manager, a million different things. I'm not saying, guys, a college degree is not a good thing to have. It wouldn't have benefited me at all because I'd have found more girls and more sports and I'd have gotten more trouble. but I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
Don Moran, welcome back. Good to have you in here. Opportunities depend on location. I plan to help my 11-year-old son find that place in 6.5 years onward. This option was nothing I had as a kid. Guys, I didn't grow up wanting to be a plumber. Those of y'all that know my story, I quit school the middle of my junior year. I'm managing a hamburger restaurant here in Garland, and one of my best friends, Grant from Speaks Plumbing, is working with me. And it was a slow night, and he looked at me and said, "You gonna do this forever?" I'm like, "Dude, I am 16 years old. I'm managing a restaurant. Life is good." And he looks at me and said, "So what happens when you quit or get fired? Who's going to hire a 16-year-old restaurant manager?" I'm like, wow, never thought of it that way. And it wasn't much later that I quit or probably got fired. And I called one of his brothers because later that night he told me about his father and 3 brothers that were plumbers, how they loved it. They loved what they did. They made good money. They were building things or fixing things. I was like, man, that sounds very interesting. So I went to work the last half of my junior year and that summer. And luckily, a girl I dated in high school talked to me one night at a party or something. She says, I could probably never marry anybody that didn't graduate high school. I'm like, well, remember, girls and football. So I went back and graduated with my class. So the options are there. It's just, and I think that's why I'm building the app. That's why I'm building the courses that I'm building. How to get in the trades, how to become the best tradesman, how to start your own business, how to use networking and social media to grow it. So many different things I'm doing for tradesmen and the tradespeople. But I remember getting interviewed about 3 years ago from a lady. I told her what all I'm doing and wanting to do and whatnot. And she says, Roger, you're putting something that's not been out there. You're showing people that there is a direct route you can go into the trades. I'm like, absolutely. She says it's not there, but it needs to be. So interesting. Handyman 303. I started a handyman business with no schooling and no money. It's a huge demand and will only increase in demand as time goes on.
I agree.
Hank's Handyman right here in Dallas. It's a business like plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. It's a handyman business, but they do it like you do business, like I do business. People dress right, they look right, they talk right, they speak right. They have systems and processes in place to do things. Yeah. It's a whole new experience right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Handyman 303, look, there's nothing at all wrong with that. Never Dead IV says, LOL, always liked the guy who yelled and complained about the younger workers at my past jobs. They were always easier to work with because they worked and showed you how to do it right. Tyler Sladek says, plumbing and heating is where I started after a 1-year refrigeration AC pre-employment course. They gave me my first chance, and I learned a ton about electrical and heating diagnostics. I moved onto commercial and light industrial, HVAC and refrigeration, and I couldn't be happier. Some people love plumbing. It wasn't for me. But the other things we did sparked the love for what I'm currently doing now.
Perfect.
And it's a great way, guys, you get in and you experience. Look, you may get into plumbing and say, man, I hate plumbing, but man, out on that job, I liked watching the electricians and what they were doing. That was pretty cool. Nobody's ever said that. No, I'm joking. But I mean, we do, look, when we're on a job site, the roofers hate the plumbers hate the roofers. I stick pipe through the roof. Y'all break it off. I gave y'all flashings. Y'all didn't put them on. Now you want to charge me to come back and do it. The plumbers hate the electricians. The electricians hate the plumbers. Everybody hates the HVAC people. And it's that way. But man, at the end of the day, we all respect each other. And especially when I walk through a job and I see conduit that an electrician has put in, and man, it's true plumbing square and it looks good. It's like, man, that looks good. And there's a respect there for each other. We talk trash about each other all the time. That ain't never going to change.
We've been having fun with that. Like, I think it's been really cool for us. kind of partnering up with plumbing companies because there's so many different pieces. Like you guys go in and replace a water heater. Most of the time, the plumbers don't want to get on a 10, 12 pitch roof and replace that vent stack.
Yep.
You know, and it's cool to have that relationship with those guys where we'll send a guy out. It's the roofer,
huge.
and it's like, hey man, yeah, stick that pipe up through here. I'm gonna put the
I'll
flashing on.
put the flashing
you know.
on. I'll put the cap on it for you.
It's been really cool to just see the trades, I guess, kind of working together like that. It's been fun.
Tyler Slodek from SK Canada. Brother, man, I was up in Canada a few weeks ago. I was up in Toronto. Love it up there. It's beautiful. I'm not going to say I loved it. It snowed. There were girls running around. Okay, okay, man, Tyler. I'm up there. I'm staying over by what is it, SoFi Arena or something. They're in Toronto. And I'm going out to get dinner, and there's a country concert that night. And there are girls wearing boots, short, I don't know if I said short skirts, like halter top things. And they're walking down the street, and it's snowing.
Holy smokes.
And I'm looking at them. I'm like, what the is wrong with you? And it's not just one, it's all of them. The guys are running around in short sleeve shirts, headed to a concert. And I'm like, man, are y'all on drugs? But I figured it out. Okay, I figured it out. I wake up the next morning, and I'm looking out my hotel room, and it looks over the arena, but right down in front of the arena that there was a daycare at this office, and it's snowing again. There's snow on the ground, and the kids are out there playing like it's no big deal. And half the kids have snow shovels, and they're shoveling the snow like, hey, we got something to do today. And I'm literally like, oh, my gosh, they're taught this is normal.
Yeah.
Guess what? It is for them. I'm looking at that thinking Child Protective Services in Texas would shut you down because every parent of every child, they had my kid out in the cold weather. Oh, man. So, yeah, look, Canada's cool. Toronto, loved it. It was neat. Had fun. The chess guy says, I'm starting a trade school next month. Talking up plumbing. What are some tips you could give for someone starting out? Man, I talk about this a lot, and you can go back and look at a lot of the earlier videos I've done. But look, go in to learn. Go in with an open mind and say, look, I'm a sponge. Don't argue with your instructors. Don't argue with the plumbers that you work with, your mentors. They're teaching you a profession that has made them a great living. If you ask a question, listen to the answer. Write the answer down. Don't ask the same question twice. Be coachable, be willing to learn, show up on time every day, and show up like you are dressed for success. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And anything else you'd throw in there?
No, I like that. Yeah, I think the people that promote the fastest are the people that come in wanting it. You know, and
when he says promote the fastest, the ones that move up.
Just move up in any arena. I mean, no matter what it is, it's like, man, you just got to be, it's the willingness and the effort and all that stuff. And when you got a lot of that, everything else falls into place. So.
Positive attitude, energetic, be coachable, show respect, be on time. You know, I did a video the other day. Follow, first in, last out. Be the one that shows up before anybody else. Looking at the job, studying things, just looking around. And be the last one to leave. Don't be the guy like, okay, it's almost 3:15. I'm going to go down to the Porta Johny. And if I sit in there for 15 minutes, I can just leave from there and get to my car faster. People see you.
Yeah.
Abdul says, one day hope to be the Roger Wakefield for electricians. Don't be Roger. He wouldn't be a good electrician. But I will tell you this. Go check out Electrician U. My buddy Dustin Stelzer. Dumbest person in the world because he's an electrician. He can't help that. Any smarter, he'd have been a plumber. And see, I'm joking. That's the first response that comes out. Love Dustin. He's doing amazing things for electrical. So Abdul Kayomi, go check out Electrician U. Dustin is phenomenal. He teaches different than I do. He talks different than I do. When I first learned about him, his YouTube channel was so much bigger than mine. And I was wondering how he's doing it. And then I get in, he's not using any tools or anything. And I'm like, man, I want to help you. check out this tool, check out this tool, check out this tool, check out this tool. He didn't even know about them. And he's exploded, which look, he was already doing great, but he's just got better. But he's phenomenal. I love what he's doing for the trades. So, okay, Mark, number one, this has been fun. If somebody wanted to learn more about roofing, learn more about working at Firehouse Roofing, anything at all like that, how can they get in touch with you? How can they find you? How could they go to work with you?
Yeah. Easy as just going to our website. It's firehouseroofing.com. You can jump on there. We have a page dedicated. It's like a career page that basically kind of gives a breakdown. We actually have some cool videos in there of our guys working and stuff like that. So they can jump on there and fill out something and just give us a call, and then, go from there. And like we talked about, it's like a lot of times we'll just, we'll just get people in there, and it's like good people. We want to fit the right position to that person, and then it's like, we'll teach you the skill set. It's like on most of our stuff, it's just like nowadays it's finding really good people.
Sometimes that's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
It's crazy, but it's true. Crazy, but it's true. Human civilization can't survive without plumbers. It can. They were before there was plumbers, before there was plumbing. I think they've gone back now and found an aqueduct or a drain pipe, something 2,400 years before Christ. I've been up to the Plumbers Museum up in Boston and seen the wood pipe that they've used that was really used for plumbing. So, I mean, you see stuff like this, you're like, okay, look, they can implement. And Dwayne, I don't mean that bad. I do think they could, as long as there's somebody around to say, hey, look, make sure that the sanitary water is not coming anywhere near the drinking water, because that's going to make people sick. So there's a whole lot of things there. But I think that we know more now as a civilization, where we know, hey, we do need plumbers. We do need to think about plumbing, where it's, look, plumbers protect the health of the nation. We do know that. So I love your comment, and you're right. A lot of handymen will be out there just trying to rig things, and it can lead to problems. So we got to watch it. Chess Guy says, I'm writing this down. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You're more than welcome. There's the link to Firehouse Roofing right there, guys. Go check it out if you want to. Abdul Kayumi says, Roger, can I be on your show? It takes a lot to be on my show. I'm looking for certain kind of people, and I don't mean that bad. And Abdul, I don't know really anything about you. You can go to rogerspodcast.com and fill it out, and Amber will get in touch with you. But I'm telling you, we've got a very rigorous screening process. We don't just let anybody come in here. But I mean, you're more than welcome to go fill it out and see what Amber thinks. It starts there. Mark says, just tuned in, but appreciate the time you give us, tradesmen. Bless you guys. Mark, thank you. I appreciate it. Again, Mark, this has been fun. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Those of y'all that are here, I want to say thank you for being here today. If you don't know me, I'm Roger Wakefield. I am transforming and elevating the trades industry through education, innovation, and community engagement. There's over 1 million unfilled trades jobs across the United States right now, and over $1 trillion in unpaid, and some of it now being forgiven, student debt. My thought is look, if that student loan was really worth it, people would have paid it back already. So I try to tell people all the time, I really think the trades is a better opportunity. I definitely think it is something worth checking out. Squirt, thank you for being here. Colton, thank you for all you do. You guys make it work. Again, Mark Latham, Firehouse Roofing, guys, check him out. See what he's got. If you're thinking about getting in the trades, it could be a great opportunity for you. So thank you all for being here. Have a great day. Have a wonderful week. And I think I'm actually back next week. Maybe. If not, I'll let you know. Thank you, guys. If you love this video, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up, share it with somebody, let them know, and have a great day. Talk to y'all later. Bye.